then that took us into a fatal four-way to determine the number one contendership to the APW World Heavyweight Championship, which consisted of Mr. Awesome and the Dreamboat, Adam Crow, facing off against M8 211, who was accompanied by the Mass Effect Jackson Shepard and the APW Breakout champ Josh Redfield, facing off against Xavier Black and Murdoch.
Four ways can always be a bit interesting. This was the one where they got out of the ring a bit, didn't they? And there was the holding.
No, that was the main. That was the main.
Was that the main?
That was the main. Yeah,
that was the main.
Sorry, then.
That's right. Look, the problem with four ways is, well, it depends how you do it. I reckon the best way to run a four-way, like you got the WWE way, they run a four-way where two guys in the ring, two guys are lying down outside, the next two guys go back in, and for me, it looks like these guys are going to lie outside the ring and catch their breath while the other guys are spending 2 minutes in the ring.
Yeah.
It doesn't look right. Never does. WWE doesn't right. You're better off using that in the Texas Tornado style if you've got four guys. Guys are fighting out on the floor. A couple of guys are fighting out in the ring. They roll out. The next two guys roll in. There's action on the floor. There's action in the ring. Everything's got to have perpetual motion and do it short. Don't do it in a WWE sense where I've got to highlight these two guys, I've got to highlight these two guys, and everyone's got to have a go at each other, which is the technical way that the indie guys do it now. It should be more like a Texas Tornado tag where you've got guys fighting over here, guys fighting over there, two guys roll out the ring, two guys roll in, then they switch partners, and it's perpetual motion, which makes a good four-way. The style of four-way they did made it look rehearsed, like it was set up.
Yeah.
This is no disrespect to the four workers that were in the ring. The way it was done, executed was ordinary, but it gets executed like this all the time. Like I said, a good four-way should be perpetual motion. Doesn't need to go for 20 minutes.
Nah.
Just needs to go for perpetual motion, right? And everyone's doing something at some point. A couple of guys are fighting out on the floor. A couple of guys fighting in the ring. They switch. They get back. There's four guys on the floor. One guy, they switch partners. That happens again. That's what I don't like about modern-day four-ways, right? All great performers. Adam Crow, fantastic leap over the top rope until some sort landed on his feet. If I tried that, I would have hit the top rope, landed face first on the ground. So very athletic. Murdoch looks really, really intense. 411's always a good worker. 211, sorry, is always a good worker. He's always a good hand in the ring, 100%. I've just drawn a blank on the fourth person.
Xavier Black.
Well, I've known Xavier for probably the better part of 15 years, and he's a great worker. And I can't believe that I forgot that. But he's a great worker and a guy that on any card, any roster can make an impact. So it was not the guys in the ring. I think the structure of the match and how the match was put out there. But that's really, really common in indie wrestling. So if you're listening, if any of those guys are listening to this is my suggestion to you when you do a four-way, is think of it as a Texas Tornado match where everyone's constant motion, constant movement, everybody's working, everybody's doing something. A couple of guys on the floor beating each other and swapping shots and hitting each other with things, and the two guys in the ring might be doing technical stuff. Then we reverse that, and the guys outside that were in the ring come down to the floor and they're more of a street fight, and the guys in there in the ring, they're doing more of maybe a technical match. Then everyone ends up outside off a dive or something. We switch our partners and we go back in and we do the same again, then we work towards finish. That's my suggestion, right, of how to work them. Otherwise, two guys are lying on the floor waiting for the next two guys to clear out the ring. Looks rehearsed.
Yeah.
That's just my opinion. So.
No, look, I agree 100%. You got good workers, know what they're doing, experienced workers. But, yeah, you're right. Again, do what you said, like a Texas Tornado style, cut it back by 5 minutes, Because, at the end of the day, with anything in life, you want quality, not quantity.
This is true.
So if you've got a bit more quality and the match is a bit shorter, or you just add another match if you think the card's too, going to end too quick or whatever. I mean, there were plenty of guys there that could have worked who didn't on the night, which we saw in the back corner and stuff like that. So there wouldn't have been any problem, doing that. But yeah, quality over quantity. Don't overstretch. Don't try and get too much out of a good thing. And again, going back and putting my old school hat on, as the greats of the past would say, don't give them everything in this match, because you've got nothing to come back with.
This is true.
Give them absolutely everything. What's there to come back for or come back with? So always leave something hanging, or a bit like with the the match where brother turns on brother or so. You left something hanging.
It's hanging. I want to see that now.
Yeah, there's interest. So you got to leave it hanging. So that was for the number one contenders, wasn't it?
Yeah, and I'll add to that, right? If you go watch boxing, UFC, whatever other combat sports that are out there, right? Your number one contenders match is taken as seriously as what your championship match is, right? Because that's the guy that's going to face the champion.
Oh.
So maybe thinking outside the box here, but people throw 4 ways together and 3 ways for the number one contender. Why not give the number one contenders a singles match and hype it up and have the prestige to that number one contenders match that the main event would have? Because it's a throwaway match a little bit in a 4-way, but if you say this guy is going to be the number one contender and you build it up, think of boxing, the number one and number 2 contenders go at each other for the shot at the champion. It's a big fight. It's a big draw in boxing or in the UFC. Well, it's a draw, so why not give that match the number one contender's position the prestige that it deserves? Because it's a prestigious position. Other than throw it in a 4-way or a 3-way or a contract on a pole or something ridiculous like that. Treat the respect of the belt by making the number one's contenders as important as the belt itself.
Well, even if you had a mid-tournament for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, like they're doing with the women's tag team thing at the moment in WWE.
Yeah.
You have a tournament and the winners go on to face the winners until you get down to 2 or whatever. There's nothing even wrong with doing something like that.
No, make it prestigious. They make that number one contender mean something, Yeah. At the moment, when you throw a few guys together, one guy got lucky. One guy in all that craziness got lucky. You have number 1 and number 2 at each other, and it's a straight clutch match.
Yeah.
Then the guy wins.
Yeah.
So he's the actual number one contender.
And he's a legitimate number one.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah.
The thing about 4-ways is you can spring other storylines off him because he didn't pin me and I pinned him and everything else. But if you just want to keep that number one contender being the prestigious position, just have a singles match. Yeah. Let's do a singles match. That's it.
Or they could have that 4-way that could have been broken down into 2 singles, and then on the next show the 2 winners
faced off at each other.
And then on the next again show, the winner faces the champ.
Yeah,
three nights out of it.
That's exactly right. Just things like that. Just thinking outside the box. Yeah. What do you reckon, Anthony?
I'm going to start this off. Right. I don't think, and I understand that they've got a faction going, but I don't think there was a need for Shepard and Redfield to be out there.
No,
I agree with that. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, they didn't add anything to the match.
I mean, they got taken out within the first 5 minutes, but that was basically it.
Yeah, they were just catches out at ringside. Yeah, and it goes down to where it looks worked.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's just
See, the way I would have done it was I would have still had them walk out with inmate 211, but I would have had them stop on the stage, and 211 just continues walking. They go backstage.
Yeah, I agree.
Which again, as we were saying at the beginning of the night, it's just that little attention to detail thing.
It's just things like that, and also like if we're talking attention to detail, and we'll talk about it more in that match where I want to talk about that incident. But if you're going to go out of the ring as much as a lot of the guys did, and you've got little kids in the front row, and you've got those barricades, and you're hitting those barricades real hard, you're going to end up or some sort of liable case, because some kid's going to get really badly injured.
Well, that's just happened at AEW. I think that ended up in the crowd. I read this.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure it was Kenny Omega or someone like that. They hit a little kid.
Yeah,
A little kid got taken out. So there might be ramifications legally from that. So you've got to think about that when you're doing those kind of matches outside. You've got a lot of small kids that go to those shows too.
Yeah, to us there was about 3 with a parent or something.
Yeah, so if they got smacked really, one of them got hurt bad. I think there was an incident with NAW where 2 of them went into the audience and knocked the teeth out of a kid's head and had to pay for all the dental work.
But not only that, what that then brings is if somebody brings some sort of legal action,
that's right.
You get every department and their dog coming in to check the venue. And does the venue actually stand up to standards? Are there enough toilets? Are there enough fire exits?
Yeah.
Are there enough this? Are there enough that? You open up a can of worms that will basically shut you down and get you fined.
That's right.
So you've got to be smarter. Keep the action in the ring. If you're going outside, by all means go outside. Don't push the bloody barricades into the crowd. Because there was Mel, you and I holding the barricades forward.
Yeah.
Like, if we weren't there, I'm not saying we saved anything, but you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You can't be doing that. That's dumb. That is really, really dumb. And it's going to cost you your promotion, and it's going to cost you tens of thousands of dollars.
If somebody gets seriously hurt, somebody's leg gets caught and gets broken or something like that.
Because they'll come in and look at everything. Toilets, fire.
Well, they sue everybody. That's the way it works. That's what happens. That's why they ask you to have your own public liability, because I argued the point about what do I need public liability for? I've got guardrails up. Everything's supposed to happen inside the guardrails. And my solicitor said to me at the time, what happens if somebody slips over in the toilets? I said, that's not my problem. That's to the, if there was something like, you guys imagine if a faucet broke and the water was leaking out. And so I said, well, that's the venue. He goes, no. He goes, it might be the venue, but he goes, they're going to take you to court as well. That's $20,000 that you'll pay for legal fees, right? And then, you're standing there in court, and he said the judge might say to you, you don't have a case to answer, but it's cost you $20,000 to the solicitor to get you there.
Yeah.
I think avoiding that as much as possible. So, that's something that the promoter really needs to talk to the wrestlers about working in that environment. It's like going out and fighting in the crowd. That's dangerous. That's dangerous as far as, you might get away with it 1,000 times. That one time that you step on a kid or something like that, or, I did
elbow goes back.
Yeah, and hit someone, and the parents are, decide, well, we're going to sue.
But you're gone.
Yeah.
Absolutely. You can kiss your promotion goodbye.
Yeah, kiss everything goodbye.
Goodbye, because it won't comply. And I'm not having a crack at APW because it'll be with everybody.
Yeah.
Venues don't all comply with all the licenses and the fire and the safety and all, and the amount of toilets and blah, blah, blah. And they've got the kitchen at the back, which was an office. So, does it have the right exhaust system? I've been in hospitality and owned businesses. I know what they do. You're on the low down there. Don't draw attention to yourself. Be smart.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's right.
That's a big, big thing. You've got to be smarter. You've got to be business-minded as well.
Yeah.
And this fighting in the crowd, which I think we did, it was in the last match, there was a bit of that, wasn't there?
The semi-main, it was in that.
Okay.
And show there was. And you are really playing with fire there.
You are. You're asking for trouble. You're asking to get you're asking to get hit in the balls.
Yeah, as a professional thing, you are asking for trouble because, all it takes is that one mistake.
Just one.
That's all it takes. It's just, you might not even, you're not deliberately done it. You haven't gone out to do it. But once it happens, and if you get a set of parents decide that's it, we're going to go after you, or, you hurt someone, they're going to go after you. They can't work for the next, 3 or 6 months because you've landed on their knee or something.
You
are.
Using that word on air, but you are absolute, and there's no coming back.
That's right. So I think that they want to have a chat with staff about that. For their own sake, not for us. We don't. For us, it doesn't. It doesn't. I like it. APW, and I want to see him hang around.
Oh, absolutely.
So that's something they need to look at. Just in that aspect, they need to really look at, because that could be very dangerous for their business.
Absolutely.
And I think the promotions we always ran, nobody could go outside the guardrail.
Nah. If anyone went outside the rails when I was promoting, I didn't book them again.
Yeah, so there was none of this.
It's a risk.
Yeah. It is.
No idea the can of worms that opens.
Yeah, that's right. So just for their own sake on that one, maybe be very wary and let their staff know that going out to the crowd is not allowed. And certainly, and be careful when you hit the guardrails. You don't need to slam somebody into the guardrails. You can pick them up and drop them on the guardrail and do drop them on the guardrail, or slam their head into the guardrail or something. You don't need to whip somebody into them. The WWE does it, but then again, the guardrails they've got there are like, doled and bolted into the ground. They're not going anywhere unless they're a propped one.
And they're all padded?
That's right. So it's a completely different.
There is a bit of this. Oh, not a lot, I suppose, but
yeah. But it's a completely different. You're not got the guardrail moving around.
Nah.
That kind of thing. So but once again, how they run their business, that's up to them.
Yeah, but it's only all we're doing is highlighting it.
Yeah.
For their protection. It's not going to cost us anything.
No.
It could cost them everything.
That's exactly right.
I don't want to see any promotion lose.
That's right. Yeah.
All right. So that's my thingy.
But aside from that, going back to the match, as I said, I love Adam Crow. His character is fantastic. I love it. I'm going to go back to Mate to 11 for a second. You can't have a psychotic clown as a face. If
it's done properly, you can.
Yeah, but psychotic though.
Well, you never met my two exes.
Well, in that case.
No, in all seriousness, I mean that's the way the character's being portrayed, and it sort of gets over with the kids. So I mean, I think it always comes down to how much it gets over. It seems to get over okay. So I mean, whether you can't do it, I don't say you can't do it.
The crowd will always tell you what you think by their reaction. Are you talking about the guy in the white sort of?
Yeah, with the clown face on.
I must admit I didn't sort of take notice either way in that respect.
Yeah,
So is he a face? Is he?
Yeah.
Well, he's a face technically in that group. Yeah, he's a face in that group. He was a heel originally, in Mate 211, but he reformed his way and found the light and got in with the good guys, and reformed himself.
Psycho.
Yeah,
referring to my previous two exes, but I think the crowd will tell you, Anthony. It's like as you know, in all things of wrestling, if someone really, really reacts to a particular gimmick or whatever, they're the ones that are going to get booked. Yeah, they say the fans decide who's going to be champion, who's not. To some degree, there's a bit. Yeah,
there's some reality to that. Yeah,
there's a bit of validity to that.
Yeah, it's a bit like when we were referring about Big Dude Energy. Those guys are main eventers all day long.
Absolutely, I would promote them as semi-main or main, depending on what you got on the card, and because that's our perception. So they say perception is reality. So if the crowd liked a Stone Cold or a Mankind or a whatever, and they were getting over, well, then fine.
Yeah.
I must admit, I'd have to take more notice next time how the crowd reacts to him.
Oh, look, however he is, I don't know how over he is. I don't know. Adam Crow was definitely over.
Oh, yeah.
Murdoch seemed to be over.
Good. He just needs another couple of little tweaks to his gimmick.
Yeah.
But he's pretty much there.
Yeah.